The last snap one. The streak that never ends. Sarah had never paid much attention to how much time she spent on Snapchat. At least, not until it became impossible to stop. At first, it was just a harmless habit. A few snaps before bed, a quick selfie with a dog filter, keeping up streaks with friends. But lately, the app felt different. The notifications never stopped. No matter how many times she checked them, another one would appear, pulling her back in. The most disturbing part was a new user on her friends list. Username, Empty Smile. Sarah didn't remember adding them. Their Bitmoji was just a black void where a face should be. Their first snap had arrived at 3:33 a.m. She opened it groggily in the dark of her bedroom, the glow of her phone illuminating her face. It was a video. The shaky footage showed her apartment building from the outside. Rain streaked the camera lens. The video lasted only a few seconds before cutting off abruptly. A cold shiver ran down her spine. She should block them, delete them. But her fingers hesitated over the screen. Instead, she replied, "Who is this?" The message was left on opened. No response. Then another notification popped up. Empty X Smile has started a streak with you. Her stomach twisted. She shut off her phone and rolled over, telling herself it was just some prank. But she couldn't shake the feeling that something was watching her from the dark corners of the room. 2. The algorithm. Watches over the next few days, Sarah noticed the app behaving strangely. The AI-generated recommendations in her Discover tab seemed off. Normally, Snapchat suggested celebrity gossip or funny memes, but now every story was unsettling. Faces in the static, the ghosts of social media. What happens when the algorithm sees too much? Never open this at 3:33 a.m. She tried to scroll past, but her thumb hovered. The thumbnails showed grainy black and white photos of her. One was of her sitting on her couch, taken from an angle she didn't recognize. Another was of her in bed, the covers half draped over her body. She felt her pulse hammering in her throat. Before she could process it, a new snap arrived. Empty Smile has sent you a snap. Her finger hovered over the notification. Against her better judgment, she opened it. A distorted face filled the screen. Not quite human, but not entirely digital. Its mouth was stretched into an unnatural grin, pixelated and twitching. And then the sound started. A glitching whisper, words she couldn't understand. But the more she listened, the more they made sense. Keep the streak alive. Her phone suddenly burned hot in her hand. She yelped and dropped it. When she picked it up again, the snap had disappeared. Her streak count with Empty Smile had risen to 2. 3. The blur. Sarah tried to delete the app. Her finger pressed down on the Snapchat icon, ready to drag it to the uninstall button. But the moment she did, a full-screen message appeared. Are you sure you want to leave? The options were yes, or keep snapping. But no matter how many times she pressed yes, nothing happened. She felt her heart thudding. The app wouldn't let her go. That night, she woke up gasping for air, drenched in sweat. The nightmare had been vivid. She was trapped inside a snap, her body flickering like a bad connection. Something had been reaching for her, its fingers stretching out through the screen. Her phone buzzed. Another snap from Empty Smile. The image showed her, lying in bed, taken from just above her head. Someone was in the room. She shot up, scanning the darkness. Nothing, just the faint glow of the street lamp outside. Then, a new message. Don't stop snapping. Her breath came in quick, shallow gasps. She turned the phone off and threw it across the room. But the screen still flickered, still glowed, still watched. 4. The loop days passed in a blur. She barely ate, barely slept. The app had become her reality. Every time she blinked, she saw the interface burned into the back of her eyelids. She stopped talking to her friends. They had all sent messages. "Are you okay? You haven't responded in days. What's going on?" She wanted to reply, but every time she picked up her phone, she only opened Snapchat. It was the only app that mattered. Her streak with empty smile had reached 20. It didn't make sense. 20 days hadn't passed. She was losing time. And the snaps, they no longer showed things she understood. One was of a door she didn't recognize, the wood splintered and rotten. Another was of a road stretching into endless darkness. Then came the most disturbing one yet, a snap of her own face. But it wasn't right. Her eyes were empty. Her mouth hung open, as if screaming in silence. The caption read, "Almost ready." 5. The exit that doesn't exist. Sarah knew she had to break free. She tried smashing her phone. The screen cracked, but the app still worked. She tried factory resetting it, but when it rebooted, Snapchat was still there, already open. And then the final snap arrived. A video. She pressed play. The footage was of her apartment, but this time the camera moved inside, through the front door, into the living room, down the hall, towards her bedroom. The screen glitched, then cut to black. A voice, garbled, broken, yet familiar, whispered, "Time to switch places." Her reflection in the phone screen suddenly moved. She dropped the device, but the screen pulsed, the glow filling the room like a spreading infection. The last thing she saw before everything went dark was her own face grinning back at her from inside the screen. 6. The new user. Somewhere, a phone vibrated. A new Snapchat notification. Username,